I'm sorry. Are you in here laughing to yourself?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to, I guess it's episode 28, season 2, episode 2 of the Watch It Bro podcast. I'm not sure how I'm going to continue doing those intros with episode numbers, but there it is for now. Anyway, I'm Tristan,
And I'm lost.
and Marshall's lost. And today we're going to be talking about the Muppet movie. But before we get into it, I want to talk about planes, trains, and automobiles real quick.
Ooh, a throwback.
A throwback because because we're recording this a few days after the episode aired, and you know how Dad likes to give his opinions after the episodes air, so we can't add them to the episodes.
Correct.
He mentioned that the look on Neil's wife's face at the very end of the movie, why it
Yes.
was weird, is she never thought there was a Del Griffith, and so she was relieved to to actually see him there and know that Neil wasn't having an affair. Because throwback to that scene where she's like, "What's going on?" and I'm like, "That's weird. That seems out of place." She thought he was having an affair this whole time and
Okay.
making up Del as the cover, and then the whole movie,
Okay, I see that.
every time he calls home, he's talking about the latest adventures with Del, and she's like, rolling her eyes, like, okay, he's really leading into this, and then sure enough, at the end of the movie, he brings Del home, and there really is a Del. And she's like, "Oh, hello, Mr. Griffith. Like, very, very glad that you exist."
Yeah. Okay, I get that because you get a phone call. It's like, so I got up this morning, got on a train. The train broke down. We got on a bus.
It's pretty unbelievable the chain of events that happened in that movie.
I got off the bus. My rental car wasn't there. Your rental car wasn't there? My rental car wasn't there. I'm not on my way home yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that.
So there's that.
Okay.
And now on to today's episode, where we will talk about the Muppet movie.
It's time to meet the Muppets.
This movie was directed by James Frawley. It was written by Jerry Jewell and Jack Burns. It's starring the Muppets.
That's a fair assessment.
It is. Those Muppets are voiced by people.
You want me to tell you the people?
I wrote it down. I didn't wrote down what voices go to what Muppet. Do you want to do that, or do you want to just go through it?
We'll touch on that as the Muppets appear.
Okay. This movie stars a whole bunch of people.
Ooh, are you planning on going down the cameo list?
I have the cameo list as well, in order of appearance. But so far, just starring, we have the Muppets, Jim Henson,
Yes.
Frank Oz. I thought about doing like Kermit the Frog, Fozzie Bear.
There's a lot of Muppets.
There's a lot of Muppets, yeah, and these actors and puppeteers do multiple. But
Yes.
anyway, going back to it, Jim Henson, Frank Oz, Jerry Nelson, Richard Hunt, Dave Goles,
Yep.
Carol Spinney, and I think that rounds out our Muppets, because Charles Dunning, I believe, is our first live action character,
Not in
according
not
to the
full
Wikipedia.
appearance. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah. Well, no, Charles Dunning's not the first person to appear. He's just the first one in the list. I think I covered
Oh, yes.
all the Muppets.
Yes, you covered the main Muppets, yes.
Yes, now starting in the starring cast of live action characters, not including the cameos.
Okay.
We have Charles Dunning, Austin Pendleton,
Yes.
Scott Walker, H.B. Haggerty, Bruce Kirby, James Frawley, who also appears as an actor in this, and an uncredited Melinda Dillon.
Really?
Yeah, she was holding a balloon.
You have a balloon?
Yes, and she was the mother on A Christmas Story. And I never saw her.
In the movie?
I never saw her.
I didn't realize she was in it.
Yeah. But I do want to get into Charles Dunning, because when he appears,
Yes.
I don't know if you want to go into this now or wait until we're done with the specs.
We can get into it now.
Yeah,
Papio Dan himself.
I wrote that down in my notes. I'm like, that guy looks an awful lot like Pappy O'Daniel.
That guy is Pappy O'Daniel.
Yeah, I looked. I'm like, what? Because first when he's chasing him, I'm like, oh, he looks like Pappy O'Daniel, and then he comes up to the car, and I'm like, oh, that's why, because it is. And then about halfway through, with when oh, what's his name? Is it Max? Gets on the
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah, Max.
He hops on the bus. Rachel's like, stuttering lawyer, my cousin Vinny, and I'm like, you're right, he is.
Yep.
That's who that is. Fantastic.
Yep.
So
I think
that,
a lot of our cameos, well, maybe about half, we've had have parts in some of the movies we've watched already.
yeah, no, probably a couple.
Okay.
But this movie was released June 22nd, 1979 in the United States. It came out earlier in the United Kingdom for some
That
reason.
makes sense. That happens.
Yeah, uh, yeah, I've seen that happen. It was had a budget of $6 million, $8 million. Why did I write eight?
I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
know.
budget of $8 million, and in the box
And
office, it raked in a whopping 65.2 million.
that's a good
It's a good
return on
number.
investment.
Yes,
Jim Henson was happy to have the high budget. He wanted to advance the craft of puppetry
yes,
while making this movie.
yes, and actually, that's one thing I put in my notes. Um, I made note of when in the swamp when the alligator comes by.
Yes.
I wrote that, that's a good looking alligator, but it's a puppet.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the Muppets were so popular and did so well, was Jim Henson's attention to detail. He
Yes.
he he very much he put a lot of effort and time into getting as close to realistic as you could with a puppet. Because there were things in this movie where I'm like, how did they do that with Kermit the Frog?
Yeah. And those some of those things were the advancements they did.
Like where
I
he's
mean,
riding the bike.
at the ride of the bike, that was the most difficult shot to do.
I can see why that would be the most difficult to do.
Yeah, it was basically like a marionette rig where there was a crane above it and they were using wires and
Yeah, I think that's why the Muppets were and have been is that attention to detail.
yeah.
And I think the fact that there's a level of meta awareness.
Oh yeah, there's definitely part of a lot of the success was Jim Henson's heart and humor that went into everything that got done with the Muppets as well.
Yeah, yeah. I always like that they're always aware of themselves,
Yeah.
or aware that it is a movie. It is not real. But um, so fun fact about this movie
Oh,
while we're
okay.
here. In 2009, this movie was deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress and selected for preservation in the National Film Registry.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes. Now to the special guest list, I guess. Unless you have more you want to say about it.
No. I mean, do you
No.
want to do over the cameos now or kind of as they have their parts and touch on them that way?
I mean, I don't know. I wrote them all down, and we can just go rapid fire and
Okay.
then bring them up. Should they come up again in your notes? Yeah, in order of appearance, we have the great Dom DeLuise, James Coburn, Madeline Kahn,
Yep.
Telly Savalas, Carol Kane, who very, very briefly in it.
She's got two parts. Not two
Yeah,
parts, but she shows up again.
yeah,
Running joke.
yeah. Paul Williams,
Yep.
Milton Berle, Elliot Gould, which he's always fun to see.
He is
Most
always fun to
famous,
see.
probably most famous is Jack Geller on Friends.
Yeah. Yeah. He was also in the Ocean 11 movies, the newer ones with George
Clooney.
Clooney. Yeah.
Yeah.
He played the
Moving
character
on.
Ruben.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, moving on. We have Edgar Bergen in his final film role. He was a very, very famous ventriloquist long,
Yes.
long ago. Yeah, he passed away like weeks after filming his role for this movie, and the film
Yeah.
was dedicated to him.
Yeah. And Charlie McCarthy was in it.
Who?
Charlie McCarthy.
I don't have him written down.
That's Edgar's partner, the puppet.
Oh, also his lips
Famous
moved.
ventriloquist and puppet. Huh?
His lips moved when he showed up, and he's like talking, and I'm like, that man's mouth is moving.
He was an old ventriloquist.
Yeah, I guess the standard for lips moving wasn't as high as it is now.
Or, I mean, he passed away shortly after filming a scene. It's old,
Yeah,
harder to do. The muscles don't work like they used to.
that could
But
be.
having him in the movie was a highlight for Jim Henson. He
Well,
someone
yeah,
he
I'm
looked
sure.
up to,
Makes
which is why I
sense.
was dedicated to him as well.
Yeah. You have Bob Hope making an appearance.
Yep.
Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Steve Martin in the shortest shorts I've ever seen.
They are pretty short.
We have Mel Brooks, Cloris Leachman, and Orson Welles. And
Yep.
so a very, very star-studded guest cast in this movie. If you watched anything in the 1950s or 60s,
Yeah. Did you mention Bruce Kirby at all?
Bruce Kirby,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a starring. He was a starring member, cast member.
Oh, I would have called it a cameo.
No, he got starring credit.
Good job, Bruce. Um, he was the security guard at the very front of the movie
Okay.
that let Statler and Waldorf into the studio.
Yes, the people that make fun of the Muppets all the time.
Yes, there was actually a deleted storyline with them throughout the movie of them just showing up at their stops basically and heckling them, making their jokes, and so
That would have been fun.
we would have got more of them like
Well, I think
every time they stopped, they're there.
that might have been good. That might have helped the movie. Um, I think they were one of my favorite parts of the Muppet Show.
Yeah, they were always great.
Yep. So, well, this was Marshall's choice for a movie. We are
It
not
was.
we are not doing the usual structure, so this might be a little bit of a limping through. But
As we get our footing.
as we get our footing, but once we get into the topic of conversation, I'm sure it'll go smoothly. I
Okay.
guess how this works is since it was your movie, why don't you kind of give us a brief summary of the movie, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, right away you start out with the Jim Henson Productions logo.
Are you doing that to mess with me, right?
I am.
Okay,
So the movie is, I mean, it's a movie within a movie.
right,
We are watching the movie that the Muppets are watching about how the Muppets came to be, more or less, is what Kermit says.
right. Because the Muppet Show, there had already been 3 seasons of the Muppet Show at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 seasons of The Muppet Show. This is kinda where we get the definitive looks for some of the Muppets. Some of them got retooled, like Gonzo got retooled during the making of this. We got classic voices for all the characters now. Everybody's kind of in the groove when the movie came out.
Okay. Um,
So, yeah, it's the movie starts out we're at the screening of the Muppet Movie, basically. So we're watching it along with them. And in this theater, we get a lot of good Muppet bits. One of my favorites is the Muppet dog lion, the big fuzzy one.
mm.
Asks Piggy if the chair is taken, and he just picks up the seat and rips it out of the ground and takes it with him.
And that wasn't Sweetums though.
Oh, that wasn't Sweetums, that's Dog Lion.
Okay. Um, but yeah, never liked Miss Piggy.
That's fair. I'm sure and she's could
Still
be an
don't.
acquired taste.
It's been 38 years and I haven't acquired it yet.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't. Never cared for Miss Piggy.
Yeah. How do you feel about the setup of the movie?
Are we gonna get this? What do you mean the setup of the movie?
I don't know. As a movie, us watching a movie with the Muppets.
Are you asking if I enjoyed the movie?
Not asking you that yet, but we can touch on that. Did you like the movie?
So I thought of 5 words to describe my feelings on the movie.
Okay.
I would rather watch Airheads.
Wow. Did Rachel watch it with you?
She did.
What were her feelings?
I would rather watch Airheads.
Wow.
Yeah, this movie was not a hit in our house. We
Okay, so
looked at one point we looked at each other and we went, Finley will never know this movie exists because we're not sitting through it again. Um, but I mean, I don't know if we ever. I know we always talked Muppet Show, and I love the Muppet Show and Muppet Babies. But as far as like Muppet movies go,
yeah.
with the exception of A Muppet Christmas Carol,
which is a great movie.
probably the greatest retelling of A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Other than that movie, can't stand Muppet movies.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, I'm gonna do more of them. So
Um, oh, this will be fun then.
it will be fun
Um,
because
as I
now,
mentioned
oh,
before,
'cause now I had to. At this point, I had to find the pieces of it that I did enjoy and break it down into small chunks, as opposed to a movie as a whole.
hence the one page of notes.
Hence the one page of notes. But I remembered what you said about it, and I was like, okay. And this being your movie, you're gonna kind of lead your favorite parts of it, kind of like I did with Mighty Ducks, and we'll make a conversation out of it where you lead the more of the
Right.
topics and things, and so we'll see how it goes.
Okay. As I mentioned before, I think it was the last episode, because we were talking about it. This is a musical. It's got a good number of songs.
It's got a number of songs. We
Some great Muppet songs. And we start with Rainbow Connection.
do.
And during this shot, Jim Henson was in a 50-gallon steel drum submerged in water with a fake log over him.
Okay, I was wondering how they did that, and that is part of what I absolutely love about the Muppets as a whole. Like I
Yeah.
said, the movies just don't work for me. It's not my cup of tea. The Muppet Show, like a Muppet Saturday Night Live, awesome.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things, one of the smartest and greatest things ever put on television. Like the everything that goes into the Muppets is absolutely genius to me, and the dedication and commitment of Jim Henson and the other puppeteers, can't say
Yes.
enough good things about it. Because you look at set design, and
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest undertaking of anything Muppet.
Yeah. I mean, because they've got to build their sets, especially when they're associated with humans,
Yeah,
with a human level platform and a level for the performers to be on, where they're either crunched down in a little pit or lying on their back, or in the case of the Rainbow Connection shot, in a 50-gallon steel drum
underwater.
with underwater with air getting pumped to him and a little monitor in front of him so he can see what Kermit's doing.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I mean, I spent that whole scene with the interaction with Kermit and Dom DeLuise before
Yeah.
the song even started, going, how did they do that?
Oh, the song was first, but yeah, I mean, Dom DeLuise shows up in the boat,
Sure.
but yeah, he's sitting in the boat the whole time. Kermit's in this little thing, and you can see around him there's water everywhere. They're in the middle of a bog,
Right.
and fun fact,
Yeah.
it was it was filmed in the same lagoon that they filmed Gilligan's Island in.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like Gilligan's Island.
That's cool. I like Gilligan's Island. I didn't like this.
I wasn't gonna say
I heard it.
it. Gilligan's Island. No, there are things about I always love the Muppets. I don't
Yeah,
so I can find the good in this movie.
that's good. It'll make it so much easier for you.
Thank you. No, I'm sorry. I was
No, it's
excited
okay.
for this movie, and then I watched this movie, and, and it was like, oh man.
Have you ever seen this movie before?
I don't recall. I don't recall ever seeing this movie before, but I was familiar with almost all the songs.
Okay, like, I mean, they're classic Muppet songs. Rainbow Connection, Can You Picture That?
Sure.
Um,
Where would I have heard them if not for this movie?
I don't know. I had a Muppet record growing up.
You did?
Yeah.
There it is. I was like, yeah, Rachel. Same thing with Rachel. Rachel was like, I don't think I've ever seen this movie before. And then like they're in the car,
Moving
move
right
right
along.
along. Yeah. And Rachel's like singing along, and I'm like, honey, and she goes, I know the music.
I mean, to be fair too, they're owned by Disney now. Songs are kind of everywhere,
Yeah, I guess that's
especially
fair.
big ones like that. Feel like I lost my train of thought. Oh,
Probably.
yeah, yeah. So Muppet movie theater. Everybody's watching the movie. They start the movie, and we went into Rainbow Connection. That's right.
Yeah.
And we got our first, I guess, cameo because Bruce Kirby had a starring credit role.
Yeah. So according to the Wikipedia, Dom DeLuise is our first cameo.
Yes. Yes, Dom DeLuise was the first cameo, and he's a Hollywood agent and kind of is the catalyst for getting Kermit on his road trip. And this is a nothing but a road trip movie.
Yeah, we do a lot of road trip movies.
I mean, they're good quality movies usually.
Yeah, and I almost said that like Dom DeLuise, he was Scuttle in The Little Mermaid, but that was Buddy Hackett.
That was Buddy Hackett.
What did Dom DeLuise do? Because he was somebody in some movie. That was very specific.
He was somebody in this movie too.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I up until like just now, I thought he was Scuttle, but no, he was in
Was he the Wilbur from The Rescuers?
Wilbur from the Rescuers. Um, maybe?
Oh, that's not right. Oh, he was Tiger from American Tail. That's right.
Right, that's not what I'm
The
thinking
cat,
of though. Is it what I'm thinking of?
maybe.
Yeah. All Dogs Go to Heaven, maybe I'm thinking that.
Could be. Maybe you're thinking of his part in Blazing Saddles.
I've actually never seen Blazing Saddles.
Really?
Really.
Classic Mel Brooks movie.
Yeah. Oh, he was in Dexter's Laboratory as Koosie Koosalakoopagoop.
Oh, Koosy.
Yeah. Did I just trigger a memory for you also? Because that got me.
Yeah. The pr- the first Big Bong.
No, not Bing Bong. No,
We've gone off the rails.
we have.
I mean, to be fair, we're still on Dom DeLuise.
That's true.
Um,
And well, I guess kind of now we're on Bing Bong and Inside Out, but because I was gonna ask, did you expect Bing Bong to reappear in the second Inside Out movie?
Spoilers.
That's my line.
Oh man, but
Back to the Muppets.
back to the Muppets. Uh, but yeah, Dom DeLuise, Hollywood agent, and he has a newspaper, which is great because it's got an audition for frogs. He's like, "Hey, you're a good looking frog. You're dancing, you're singing, you tell jokes, you're mocking me. If you get to Hollywood, check this out."
That's right, and that that's our premise of the movie is Kermit the Frog going to Hollywood.
Right. He says, "Hey, if you stay here, you're not doing much, but if you go to Hollywood, you can make millions of people happy." And Kermit likes the idea of making people happy, and he's like, "Oh, well, maybe that's a good idea."
Yeah,
And that's when we go into the next major puppetry work, which we were talking about, the bike scene
yeah,
where Kermit's riding a bike, and they elaborate. Since we probably won't do another Muppet movie, just
W-
as
we might do a Muppets Christmas Carol for
okay,
Christmas one year.
okay. Since we might not do the Muppets Take Manhattan, they expanded on the bike shot and had about 20 Muppets all riding bikes together in that scene through Central Park, which was a cool shot. A lot of them, I mean, some of them were suspended with um, poles between the bikes. You get other people on bikes moving along with them to help to guide the puppet rig. Cool effect.
Yeah, probably a big deal to do.
Yes. Yes, a very big deal to do, but it was a continuation of the technology for this one, so
Right. Do we know how Jim Henson came up with the idea for the Muppets?
yes. So his first Muppet was Kermit. He took a, old, jacket of his mom's, cut the sleeve off, made a little puppet mouth, cut a ping pong ball in half, made little eyes, and had this little Kermit puppet, which didn't have a name at that point.
Right. And Kermit the Frog was originally for a coffee commercial or something like that.
Uh, they're technically different characters.
But that's how the Muppets technically got their start.
No, because he started doing that after he started Sam and Friends. Sam and Friends was a show that he did was where he would take his Muppet creations and lip sync to pieces of audio in a comedic way. And from that, he got the Wilkins coffee commercials
Okay.
where Wilkins and Wonkins, like, you drink Wilkins coffee? No? Well, you should. And the little guy pulls out a gun or blows up his other friend or something.
Yeah, that's right. They were very violent.
People who don't drink sometimes bad things happen to people who don't drink Wilkins coffee because he gets hit with an anvil.
That's right. Yeah, that level of violence only works on Muppets.
It works
in
pretty well.
cartoons?
He did a bunch of different commercials. He did some for dog food, and LaCroix. No, not LaCroix. LaChow, like chow mein. He had the LaChow dragon.
Okay.
But
So
Sam
he
and
was
Friends. So he. Sorry, what?
I was gonna say he was into the puppeteering for his whole life.
Yeah, yeah. He was into puppeteering his whole life. Sam and Friends. The commercials all led to the Muppets, and then you had Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock out of that.
Oh yeah. I did not realize that the Muppets and Sesame Street were of the same universe.
Kermit was in the Sesame Street for years.
Different Kermit.
Not Jim Henson and Frank Oz voiced Bert and Ernie.
Right. I didn't I knew that I thought it was just like I don't know cuz yeah, Kermit was in both.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a
Um
news reporter. He did the alphabet.
yeah, no,
A,
I'm
B,
well aware
C,
of
D, Cookie
Kermit's
Monster.
role in in Sesame Street. I thought he was the only one that bounced back and forth,
Yeah.
but we see Big Bird
Yes. Oh, and um yeah, I mean you mentioned Carol Spinney, the guy that
is in the Big Bird suit.
performs with Big Bird, but yeah, Big Bird himself is a cameo in this movie.
Right.
They ask we're getting ahead of ourselves, but they ask him if he wants to come with them to Hollywood.
Right.
He's like, "No, no, I'm on my way to New York City to make it in public television."
Yeah, no, I like cuz Sesame Street was already out for a few years at this point as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. So this
It
is
was only 3
that's
years though, wasn't it?
uh
Let's see.
3 to 5, I'd say.
This was June '79. Same street.
I feel like Sesame Street was 71-ish.
Um, 69. So it had been out a decade already.
Okay,
So 10 years it said. 69? Wow. Sesame Street's still going.
it is.
Is it?
It is.
Um,
It got bought by HBO and is no longer on PBS.
right, it's on Max now.
Yeah.
It's still on PBS.
Yeah, but the newer stuff. And anyway, is it?
Yeah, it says 1970 to present
Oh,
on
okay.
PBS. It was bought by HBO in 2016, and then it was yeah. So it's been streamable on Max for a long time. How many episodes does it have? 4,701 episodes.
I mean, they did an episode a day for a long time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they still have a lot of the same characters on there.
Well, yeah, all the puppets. They just cycle through voice actors.
No, I mean live actors too.
I don't think any of the original ones are on there anymore.
Uh, no, no. I think Bob was the last one, and he passed away recently. Bob McGrath.
Yeah. The actor that
Huh?
played Luis passed away too, not too long
Oh,
ago.
did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, Gordon. Gordon's still there, but he's the second Gordon.
There a new Gordon to replace the old Gordon that we grew up with? Because there was a Gordon before that too.
Right. So there's no longer Gordon because Gordon stopped in '07.
Okay.
The original Gordon was Robinson, and he was only Gordon for 3 years.
Yeah. And then we got the
Yeah.
Gordon we know.
Right. Yeah, and Luis died in 2022. But Maria's still there.
Oh, is she still on the show?
Um I don't know if she's still on this show.
Okay.
I haven't seen Sesame Street in a long time.
Oh, you're just looking up actors to see if they're still alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I thought Maria was still on there, but maybe not. Cuz I know cuz they had there is a new Gordon now.
Really?
Oh no. Gordon is back. 2023 to present. Roscoe Orman came back as Gordon at 81 years old.
Yay. I always liked Gordon.
I did too. So have we have we done enough Sesame Street now to get back to the Muppet movie?
I'm
Maria
ready to
left.
go back.
Maria left in 2015. Anyway, let's go.
Okay. The bike scene leads to our antagonist.
Pappy O'Daniel.
Yes, but his assistant sees Kermit riding the bike, Max, who's Austin Pendleton, the lawyer from My Cousin Vinny, the stuttering lawyer.
Yes.
Yes, he sees Kermit riding. He's like, "Oh man, that's that's awesome. And then the bike gets crushed by the steamroller. Kermit hops out of the way, and we're all good. But the next scene with the next cameo of James Coburn is the El Sleazo Cafe,
Yes.
which I always enjoyed the El Sleazo scene itself. I mean, you get the quick cameo of James Coburn, which the Commodore from Maverick. Um,
That's who he was. Thank you.
you didn't look him up?
No.
Yeah, he's the Commodore from Maverick. And he gets as Kermit walks up to the El Sleazo Cafe, he gets tossed out, and Kermit's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Hey, that place is the meanest, most disgusting, dirtiest, vile pit ever." He's like, "Man, you should complain to the owner." He's like, "I am the owner."
Yeah, there's a lot of like just rapid fire jokes in this. Like everything, there's always a joke in Muppets.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it goes to that the quick jokes, the short form, like the Muppet Show had. You get the little clips and vignettes. Because in this movie too, they're not in any place too long. They move on. You get some running jokes, coming through.
Yeah, what is their gripe with Hare Krishna?
Well, that was a thing that people went to for answers.
It's okay, because I guess you had the '70s.
Yeah, it's like I'm
Is when
lost. Have you tried Henry Krishna?
Yeah, I guess that was when Hare Krishna really took off.
Yeah.
Was a big thing that people joined in the '70s.
Uh-huh. So that's one of the running jokes. The other one is with Kermit and Madeline Kane have or Madeline Kahn have a interaction, and Telly Savalas comes up and says, "Oh, don't touch him, you'll get warts." And Kermit's like, "No, no, that's a myth." And we get Carol Kane's like, "Yes," like he said myths.
Yeah, yeah. So she has two times where she just pops her head in and says yes,
Yeah,
and then
it's
she's
a myth.
gone.
A myth.
Like, okay, yeah,
We have different humor apparently,
yeah.
because the drink's on the house, which clears out the bar, and everybody runs to the top of the house.
I like it. I like some of the humor. I don't dislike the Muppets. I just didn't like the movie.
That's okay.
Like
You're
I
like,
said,
it doesn't feel okay.
it doesn't. I'm like, how does a person like the Muppet Show so much? Because like Rachel and I watched the Muppet Show, like 3 seasons of it, just for
Yeah,
funsies.
it's a
And I
good
loved
show.
it. It's a great show. And so we were like Muppet Movie, and I'm like, yes. And I turn on the Muppet Movie, and I'm like, what?
I
And
mean,
then
it's got all the humor there.
it didn't work for me. I don't get it. Halfway through, I'm like, oh, is this over? We got to be almost done with it. Check the time. Oh no. Just how long can we talk about Muppets for?
A while, we're still only like 5 minutes into the movie.
Well, we're not going through the movies scene
I
by
know.
scene, or are you doing it that way still? Because it kind of seems like you're still doing it that way.
I wasn't sure what else to with this movie. It felt kind of appropriate to kind of go that way at least a little bit.
Okay,
But I don't know. But the El Ciso Cafe is where Kermit picks up Fozzie.
right? Because he's
He, go ahead.
telling jokes.
Yes, he's telling
Oh, he's the
jokes.
comedian, and
He's
not a
he's
very
the
good
comedian.
one.
The dancing girls weren't there that night, so they brought up Fozzie to tell jokes.
Right.
And it didn't go well because it's Fozzie, and it never really goes well for Fozzie.
Right. That's the bit with Fozzie is he's. And I don't know. I thought some of his jokes landed.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy Fozzie's jokes.
I do
Um,
too.
Fozzie, Frank Oz's titular character.
That's his main one,
Yeah,
not Miss Piggy.
in this movie, I would say Fozzie's the main one for Frank Oz. Piggy's
Okay.
got a big part as well, but more secondary.
She's just the worst addition to the Muppets.
Yeah, not happy with Piggy.
Oh, Piggy's also in Sesame Street, isn't she?
I don't remember her ever being in Sesame Street.
No, she's not. Never mind. Forget I said that. I'll cut it out.
But at this point, I mean, that's the start of the classic road trip.
Right.
of the road trip, basically. I mean, Kermit was on his bike, but Fozzie, he's got the Studebaker, he's got the vehicle, and they can head along, and this is where we get our first interaction with Doc Hopper as well.
Right. Where he propositions Kermit to
Sell his frog legs in
sell
a
frog legs.
yes, he's a very he the inspiration for this character was like a Colonel Sanders with frog legs.
I could see that. I guess I didn't really understand the point.
The
Um,
point of him?
no, I do. I got you had to have a antagonist.
Yeah.
So, but he wanted Kermit to help him sell frog legs
Yeah, yeah,
so
because
much so
he's
that he was willing to kidnap him and force him under the threat of violence
yes.
to sell frog legs.
Yes, yes. He figured that a mascot was his way to go. I mean, he was a businessman, heck of a nice guy, just not a showman. Um, and I mean, they showed it with his weird little frog suit commercial.
Yeah, I would have stuck with the frog suit commercial. Honestly, I liked it.
Yeah, but he decided that Kermit was the way to go. And I mean, it goes from him offering him $500 to sell his frog legs to
Do this or I'll kill you.
do this or I'll kill you, stuff you, and make you a puppet.
Boy, is he gonna be disappointed when he finds out Kermit's already a puppet.
But yeah, that's our antagonist.
Right.
And you weren't happy with that?
No, no, I wasn't. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Um, Bits and pieces of this movie were fantastic.
Yeah.
As a whole, no. Like if they would have had little bits of this be sketches for the Muppet Show, probably would have worked.
I think the movie worked, but I mean, it worked for you.
I guess yes, I guess I am a minority in this as it did $65 million at the box office in 1979, which is the equivalent to about 200 million today. So yeah, it's a good movie.
Um, yes, it's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
I
you said
really
that.
enjoy it. I did,
You
and I'll
did.
say it again.
And I mentioned that too, and it got brought up when we listened to the Mighty Ducks yesterday.
Yeah.
And when you're like, "Oh, it's one of my favorite movies," and Rachel goes, "Still?"
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, still.
I laugh.
Yes.
I enjoy it. I like the songs. I like the heart.
Okay,
It's a good time.
glad you like
Um,
it.
and to touch on some of the meta-ness of the movie that you talked about earlier.
Yes, I think the meta-ness was my favorite part of it.
Yeah. So this to touch on the meta-ness too, the guys blow off Doc Hopper and say no and drive off. They sing the second song of the movie, Moving Right Along, which everybody knows, whether
Everybody
they've
knows.
seen the movie or not. But they end up at the a church
Yes,
to
and
take a nap on the take a nap on the road, and then they hear music coming from it.
I loved this. The band was my favorite part of the movie. I think.
The Electric Mayhem are some of my favorite Muppets.
Yes.
And yeah, this scene in particular, especially when they come in, they don't look like Presbyterians to me.
Good. Well, then they're like, "What's going on?" And Fozzie's like, "Well, first we're." And Kermit's like, "You can't. No."
Yeah, you can't
The
explain
audience
the
is-
whole movie to them. They'll bore the audience. And, and Fozzie looks at the camera. It's like, oh,
yeah. Hand him a copy of the script and let him catch up. He's oh okay. It's great.
exterior day. You get
And,
Dr.
and
Teeth
then,
reading it.
yeah, and then you get so you have the meta joke right there, and then you have a joke within a joke because Kermit told Fozzie that he couldn't read or he couldn't explain the plot of the movie because it would bore the audience. So the solution to that was to hand the script to Dr. What's his face, Dr. Teeth,
Dr. Teeth.
and have him literally read the movie from the script.
Yeah. So we do a fade cut and they get to the point where the boys show up at the at the church and they come in. They don't look
Right,
like Presbyterians to me.
right, but he's reading it for a while before they do that cut.
He
And
is.
that's what's fantastic. It's like, oh, we're really doing this. We're really going for this ride. Okay.
Yep. So I don't know if you do, but fun fact, I guess I don't know if it's a fun. The Electric Mayhem, the five of them is made up of each one of the characters is done by one of the five performers. They each had their own band member.
Okay, I did not know that.
So yeah, so Jim Henson did the voice of Doctor Teeth. Frank Oz does Animal. Jerry Nelson is Floyd Pepper, the guitarist. Richard Hunt is Janice, and then Dave Goles is Zoot. So yeah, the five of them, the kind of the original five of the Muppet performers, each had one of the characters in the band.
I like that
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. And Scooter's there too. They stuck him in as the band manager.
because he had the van.
Yeah. And their plan was to turn the church into a coffee house.
It didn't work.
No, they wanted it to be with organic treats, very lucrative. But that's some of the meta-ness type stuff you get in there. You get a couple more wall breaks in the movie. We got one coming up in the movie itself after this point. No, that's later. But while Doctor Teeth is reading everything, the boys fall asleep. We get the next big song. Can you picture that? While the band paints the car so they can hide from Doc Hopper.
That's right. Yeah, because they're
Because I
driving
mean,
a
they read the
rusted out
script. They
Studebaker. Arrested out Studebaker.
right now they've got a brightly colored Studebaker,
Yeah,
brightly colored rainbow Studebaker to help
that's
hide.
right. Does not. Yeah, yeah. That's real
There's also
inconspicuous.
there's also a lot of billboard jokes in this movie.
Are there?
Oh, there's a lot of billboards in this movie. You get the first one kind of where they see Doc Hopper's mock-up of Kermit's face on the bucket of frog legs.
Oh yeah.
There's this one when after they say goodbye to the Electric Mayhem and continue on their way, basically right out the gate, Max is like, "Hey, look, it's a frog and a bear and a rainbow colored Studebaker." It's like that's them, but he pulls in front of the billboard and it blends right in with the swirls of the rocket that's taken off.
Yeah.
So and then there's the billboard with the pie on it that they crash into later.
And that's a real pie.
Yes, it was.
Why was it a real pie? It didn't need to be a
Because
real
it's a
pie.
joke. It's a joke for a movie within a movie.
No, I get it. Yeah, it's funny because you hit
You're
it.
like, yeah, yeah, it's funny, but still.
No, that just no. I like it. I appreciate it. I like the joke because they hit it, and then the pie just like you get pie toppings all over the car, and I'm like, real pie.
Yeah.
But
Max
it just
even eats some of it.
right. But it just goes to show the like Jim Henson's creativity and Jim Henson's passion for it, start to finish, is there.
Yeah.
Because this movie can't have been easy to make.
No.
Very time consuming, laborious.
Yeah. I mean
All that.
they had to build a car. They took a bunch of the stuff out so they could lie down in the on the floorboards and have their and make it so that they're driving a car.
Right, and they had to do that with that and the bus.
Yeah, well, and the other car because after they leave Doctor Teeth, they run into Gonzo. I mean,
Right.
exactly. His plumbing truck crashes into him.
Yeah, so I mean it would have been very easy to be able to tell that the cast and crew got tired making this movie, but they never did.
No, they have the passion for it, and
Yeah, so they worked through it all, and there was not a moment of weakness in the movie as far as drive
plot.
from what
I said plot.
plot. Yeah, no, plot's but that's why I said as far as like cast and crew caring about it, work that went into it.
True. No, definitely. They all put their. I mean, it's a project everybody put their all into.
Yeah.
Even the cameos.
Well, the Muppets are like Weird Al.
Yes, and they weren't originally. The first season, they were hard pressed to get cameos, but once they hit, because like you said, this was um, just after season 3, I believe. So people were wanting to be on the Muppets at this point.
It was if you got asked to be on the Muppets, that was like you made it.
Yeah,
Very much like getting Weird Al to parody one of your songs is making it.
right.
Or
Oh,
was,
it's
I
a
don't
very
know.
good comparison.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we made it now. Weird Al covered us. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Unless you're too good for Weird Al.
But we get another one of my favorite scenes in the movie with Milton Berle and Sweetums at the car dealership because
Yes.
they've got Gonzo's car stacked on top of the Studebaker,
Yeah.
and they're planning to trade it in. And he's like, "I'll give you $12 trade in on both vehicles."
And they find an 11.99 car.
The, so the ticket price is $1,195, and
Right.
Sweetum is trying to swat a fly, and he hits the price tag, and it's makes a little dot on there
Ah,
between the two. And they're like,
right.
that one. We'll
That
we'll take the one for $11.95. Gus is like, you owe us a nickel.
that was good.
Because he was just saying whatever's on the ticket, whatever's on the sticker, that's the price. No haggling, no nothing. That's it. I'm like, there, that's it.
Yep. And he honors
So
it.
he does honor it, and we get another running joke.
Does he give him the nickel?
Probably,
That would have been funny.
yeah. But but we get another running joke at this point, which is awesome because it's a running joke. They ask Sweetums if he wants to go with them, and he's like, "Going to Hollywood," and he's like, "Oh," gets all excited and runs off. And Kermit's like, "Well, I guess he doesn't want to go," and they drive off. And then Sweetums comes running out with his little suitcase, which you feel bad for Sweetums.
Uh, Spoilers, he makes
He does, but it's a running joke because he's running behind them and shows up a couple times as they've left places.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he's like, "Hey guys, wait up!" and chases after them. Let's see. I mean, without going through just the rest of the movie, anything else? Anything you want to talk about in this movie?
So we meet Rolf.
You're skipping a big part because I know you don't like Miss Piggy, but
Don't like Miss Piggy.
this we've got some good cameos in that part, which is great because they're tied to really good bits. Like I said, everybody who's in a cameo in this one delivers.
Right.
They end
All
up
the
at the
cameos were great.
they
Uh,
end up at
s-
the Bogan County Fair
right.
where we
That's
get
where we get.
Elliot Gould,
Right.
um, Edgar Bergen, and Charlie McCarthy, Bob Hope, Richard Pryor,
Yeah.
and we get Miss Piggy introduced here, who wins the beauty pageant. And the fourth wall break joke of Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. And Charlie McCarthy's like, "You're never gonna believe who won." And he's like, "No, it's their movie. They'll know who wins."
Yeah. I do like the constant aware of itself. Yes.
Yes.
Where it's not even just like a select few. It's like it's a joke that everybody's in on.
Yeah. It's like, who's gonna win the beauty pageant? Well, we need Miss Piggy in this movie. It's Miss Piggy.
Yeah. Just awful.
Yeah. Really don't like Miss Piggy, do you?
I don't. And I never really cared for Miss Piggy. And then I watch this movie and I'm like, my level of dislike for Miss Piggy has grown substantially. And I think that's what made A Muppet Christmas Carol work.
Because she's barely in it.
She's barely in it, and you have Gonzo and Rodent.
Rizzo.
Rizzo, thank you. Couldn't remember his name.
He's introduced in the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Right. But you have those two leading the story.
Yeah.
And Gonzo is like the most underrated Muppet.
I mean, I think he's as popular. He's one of the most popular Muppets.
Right, but he's not. For some reason, they keep putting Kermit out front.
Well, he was the face. It was Jim Henson, and it was Kermit, and like you would get Mickey Mouse with Walt Disney and the Disney Company.
Fair.
I mean, he did the voice of Mickey. It's like this is the star, but I mean, Goofy was a much better character than Mickey. Mickey was just like, haha, I'm nice. I, I don't.
I'm sorry, Goofy is your better. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
Goofy's better than Mickey, but he's no Donald.
I mean, Donald's great too. Pete. I mean, the villain. He is fantastic. So versatile with how they use him.
I guess.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Is he? I'm a Donald fan.
Yeah.
As far
All
as
good.
as far as
But
as far as Mickey Mouse goes, but like Mickey Mouse is one of my least favorite Disney products.
I mean, yeah. But it's that recognition. You're not going to change midstream to Gonzo when Kermit's been the face of the Muppets since.
Right, and that's fair. I mean, I do get that. I'm just saying, like, you have this movie where your driving force is Kermit, and then you have a Muppet Christmas Carol, where I mean, your two driving forces in that movie are Gonzo and Michael Caine.
Yeah, which is which is a great performance. I mean, that's a great movie, and I don't know if you've seen Muppet Treasure Island.
That's the one with
Uh,
Tim
that
Curry.
that's a that's the one with Tim Curry, and that's a great one too. And both those actors approach the roles differently as being the human in the Muppet movie versus like this one is there's no one human that's a through line. It's a bunch of the human cameos.
And that might be where this movie went wrong for me, is it was too much
Could be.
of it was too much of everything and not enough plot, not enough story.
Um,
Where it was constantly in a state of hurry up and get to the next.
I mean, that's a road trip movie though.
Yeah, but I mean, it felt, I don't know. They tried to I don't know. There wasn't a human storyline to go along with it.
True, but I don't think you needed the human storyline. It was Kermit's storyline.
Sure. But like in all the other Muppet movies, you have a human that's kind of,
Mm,
I don't know.
in some of the Muppet movies.
And my favorite ones.
The Muppets Take Manhattan, it's Kermit and the Muppet Story, and The Great Muppet Caper, it's Kermit, Fozzie, Gonzo. Muppets from Space was Gonzo's story. One of the newer Muppet movies, The Muppets, had Jason Segel as the human kind of through character, which was okay. I don't think you need to have that human through character. I like the Muppet bit with the, but maybe that's just my mentality with the cameos versus the more humans. Like focus more on the Muppets. It's like the Transformers movies. You're like, oh, it's a Transformer movie. Here's a bunch of human characters to take away from the robots. Like, no, focus on the robots. You focus on the Muppets and have the humans be incidental, and
I like the Muppet Christmas Carol.
that's fair. It's a good movie.
It is.
But Kermit invites Miss Piggy to ice cream. She mistakenly thinks he's inviting her to Hollywood,
Right?
and she joins up with them in a balloon car chase when Gonzo gets a bunch of balloons from Richard Pryor to impress Camilla the chicken.
Fantastic.
it is it is a great it's a great bit because Gonzo's just like, you want this one or this one? And Richard Richard Pryor, the balloon vendor's like, you know what? Why don't you get her both?
Yeah. I just upselling them.
Yeah. It's
And
like, you
and
know
that's the,
what? Some guys buy a whole bunch of balloons. The girls go gaga for it. And Camilla's like, gaga, gaga.
yeah. And that's the thing. It's like there's so much great in this movie, but I missed a lot. I think I missed a lot of it because of just being over the movie.
Interesting.
Because not talking about you, you're like, oh yeah, the balloon skin. I'm like, that's a great Muppet bit.
Yeah.
And but it's just, I think it would have worked. I think I would have enjoyed it as sketches on the Muppet Show better than a whole movie.
Instead of sketches on a road trip.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know
That's
why.
okay. It's
Because I've never disliked the Muppets, and then I watched this movie, and I really disliked the Muppets in this movie. I'm as surprised as you are. It was sad.
I'm sorry.
It made me sad that I didn't like the Muppets.
Well, you've got the Muppet Show.
I do have the Muppet Show, and I do like the Muppet Show, and I have a Muppet Christmas Carol, and I do like that.
So, oh, I forgot to mention the song "Never Before and Never Again."
Thank you.
The one Miss Piggy sings when she spies Kermit,
Awful
and
character.
we get treated to a montage of romantic scenes of the two of them
Also a funny bit, because you go into the and then the song ends, and she's like
hugging him.
hugging him, and he's like, "Hello, miss. Can you let go of me, please?"
Yeah,
I don't know how well that horrible Kermit impression translated.
sounded pretty good.
I do that voice, and people keep telling me, "Why do you sound like Kermit the Frog?" So I'm like, "Well, I just kind of go with it for Kermit the Frog. Why not?" I've never heard it back, so I guess when I edit this, I'll hear how bad of an impression it is.
I'm thinking of getting the mean little skull or Kermit the Frog.
Ooh, Kermit the Frog. I'm drawing a blank on that. I know it.
I know you know it. Tattoo choices.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay. I'll let you think on that.
Ah,
Gon Gon
I got it. Big Bang
what is
Theory,
it?
Howard.
Yes. Yes, it's Howard from Big Bang Theory. Um,
Hello, I'm Howard's butt.
so in one of Doc Hopper's attempts to get Kermit to stop and talk to him again, he pulls out a shotgun while they're driving and chasing Gonzo. This is where we get the Max is like, "What do you do?"
Yeah, this is where Max changes sides. He's like, "Oh, the guy's crazy."
Yeah, he's learned it, and yeah, Max is Max is yeah, but this is the billboard pie scene. It gets him out of trouble. The shotgun goes off, blows up the balloons. Gonzo lands in the car. They take off, and I I I like this little interaction too. Piggy's like, "Oh, oh, Kermie, you did so well at commanding the lead and telling people what to do." And Fuzz is like, "Why don't you thank the bear? He was driving." You get some of the I think it was a ad-libbed line too when they're chasing him. Kermit's yelling, bear right," trying to get under Gonzo, and Fuzz like, "Frog left." And Kermit's like, "What? Oh, cute." And just kind of staying in character while they riff off each other.
Yeah, probably. I'm assuming Muppets can improv.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of what they do too sometimes. They don't have exact lines sometimes.
Well, and that's what makes quality entertainment is when you can not completely go off script, but you know, you can add to a scene off the top of your head if something comes to you.
Right. They pull over for the night. This is where we meet Rolf.
Yes,
Um, he's the piano player here, and we also meet Steve Martin's cameo.
we do. So, Rolf uses an expression, tickle the ivories.
Yes.
In an earlier podcast, long ago now, I believe, I said tickle the 88s. So
Yes.
it's tickle the ivories or play the 88s.
Did you look it up because you thought Rolf was wrong?
No, he said it, and I'm like, that's what it is. Tickle the ivories,
Play the idiots.
play the 88s. You can
Yes.
see I was really stretching for notes on this movie.
I see that. Um, S Steve Martin cameo is great. The irritated waiter.
Yeah,
He's
Steve
having
Martin's a
fun with
hairy
it.
man,
He's wearing the shortest of shorts.
the shortiest of shorts. Why
Well,
is that?
they're lederhosen, and then he's got the suit jacket on.
Okay.
It's definitely a choice. Well, and they get the finest wine of Idaho. It's like, "Would you like to sniff the bottle cap?"
Yeah, that was great. And then it's I think he's supposed to ask him to taste it first. Then
Yes,
he
"Would you
tastes.
taste it for
Yeah, and he's like, "Ugh,
us?"
delicious. Well, it should be for 95 cents.
Yeah. We get a good bit of puppetry too, where the glasses drain as they're drinking them.
Oh yeah. Well, he's like, I'm gonna ask for. They ask for
Oh,
straws.
that's for sure. He's like, I assumed that.
Yes, because they're Muppets.
Yes, and these two Muppets don't have working hands, unlike Dr. Teeth and Rolf, who have working hands and can play the piano.
Right, because they need to have working hands for their characters.
Right, right. So they have dinner. Miss Piggy gets a call from her agent, goes to take the phone really quick, and never comes back. Kermit's sad.
Right, this is where she gets kidnapped. Spoilers.
Yeah, this is where she gets kidnapped. But before we find out she's kidnapped, him and Rolf do a duet to a song called "I Hope That Something Better Comes Along," which is a very rare duet because both these characters are voiced by Jim Henson.
Not easy to do then.
No, no, they laid down both tracks. Another puppeteer did the Kermit parts, and Jim Henson and Frank Oz did the Rolf.
Right, because you need three hands for Rolf.
You need 3 hands for Rolf, so you would need there's too many hands with those puppets.
You need a lot of hands.
Yeah, yeah. Other notable Muppets that have the three hands to run, that size of as a Muppet, Fozzie is one, Swedish Chef, Cookie Monster, Sam the Eagle.
Yeah. Well, a fun thing about the Swedish Chef, well, he's just a chef now, um, is, is he doesn't have his own hands.
Oh, yeah, they're human hands.
They're human hands.
Yeah, yeah, they're not Muppety hands.
And one hand is Jim Henson and one hand is, I believe, Frank Oz.
Yeah, it's usually Frank Oz that does the Swedish Chef with him.
Right. So it's instead of having one guy running both arms and one guy running the face, you have Jim Henson running one arm in the face, and then Frank Oz does the right arm.
Yeah, it's yeah, so that's how it always goes. One person runs one arm in the mouth, the other person runs the other arm. So it's they got to be in
Like,
sync to do those puppets.
right.
So after they sing their song about lamenting, um, they can't live without him, can't live with him, can't live without him of women, because Kermit's all sad and heartbroken.
Sure.
He gets a call and finds out that Miss Piggy's been captured and heads outside. So this is great. Kermit steps outside and is instantly surrounded by like 8 shotguns.
Yeah.
It's like, are you the guys I'm supposed to meet? Then we get the Mel Brooks cameo.
Which is Mel Brooks plays a lot of German characters.
Yes, but the plan is for his character to scramble Kermit's brain so he'll be mindless and do Hopper's commercials. And we get a classic Miss Piggy fight scene here.
Oh my gosh. If Miss Piggy couldn't get any worse.
What about those bulging eyes on the puppet?
Yeah, if they
But
did away with Miss Piggy, I'd be happy. If Miss
Kermit
Piggy
looks
never existed.
Kermit looks like he's done for. Miss Piggy breaks free, kicks everybody's butt.
The worst thing.
And then she actually gets a phone call from her from her agent, gets a
Yes.
commercial booked, and says goodbye to Kermit and leaves. She's just like, well, bye.
Yeah, that's Miss Piggy.
Yeah, that's Miss Piggy. Another good bit of fourth wall break when the film breaks here.
Is there more to that
Where,
sentence?
where the film breaks and you see the spots and it burns away. It cuts back to the theater. Swedish Chef is running the projector.
Oh, right. That is the
Uh,
first time I've ever seen the movie, so I'm not super familiar with
oh, okay.
the everything that happens in it.
We get a Statler and Waldorf moment, a couple little jokes, and the film goes back into Fozzie singing "America" because there's
Right.
a patriotic.
This is the patriotic scene. Yes.
Yeah, they did it for Sam, Sam the Eagle.
Right. It was cute.
Yeah, Doc Hopper's had it. He's got a bunch of people with guns now doing target practice with frogs. He hires the actor Scott Walker to play the frog killer.
Yeah, I saw that there was a frog killer mentioned in when I was looking up specs and whatnot, and I expected the assassin to be present a whole lot sooner in the movie.
Nope, he's not there long. Humans aren't long in this movie except Doc Hopper and Max.
Yeah.
Car breaks down. We get another
Yep.
song of Gonzo singing. I'm going out there. I'm going back there someday while they're sitting around the campfire. Kermit feels defeated and has a little self-reflective moment with a secondary Kermit puppet.
Yeah, did they make 2 Kermit puppets for that?
Yes, they used. I think they used about 5 different Kermit puppets for this movie.
Yeah,
But
because there's one
yeah.
scene where they hold Kermit underwater, and I'm like, that had to have wrecked that puppet.
Well, they dry it out, but yeah, they. And we get the return of the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah, because they read the script,
Yeah,
so
they
they
knew
knew where to
exactly where
go.
they're gonna be.
How'd you guys
Like,
figure it out? Oh, we read the script. Yes,
we read the script. Yeah, they,
that you left behind.
yeah. Car broke down. The audition for the rich and famous for frogs is the next day basically, and Doctor C's like, when do you have to be there? 2 tomorrow. Like, hop in the van, we'll get you there.
Yep. Kind of just like, well, the movie needs to end, so let's go.
Yep, we got this magical or musical road trip going on as they continue to play a song. But this is the scene where Max is dressed as the cop, and gets on the bus and says, "Hey, Doc Hopper's trying to kill you. You should get out of here."
Yeah. Yeah, that's where he's fully switched sides at this point.
Yeah, he's like, "Look, I thought Doc Hopper was just gonna lean on him a little bit, put the pressure on the frog, but now he's got a frog killer out there. He's thinking about making a stuffed puppet out of you. That's not cool."
Stuffed puppet out of a stuffed puppet.
Yeah, but Kermit says, "No, I've had enough of running. Let's meet up at the ghost town up ahead, and we'll meet at noon and have this out." At this scene at the ghost town is another feat of puppet engineering.
Yes.
Um, so they get there, they meet Bunsen and Beaker. They're living in this ghost town doing their thing, and they've made these growing pills.
That explains why Animal got so big.
Yeah, they had the 4-foot prune, and he's like, "The effects are sadly temporary." Sadly temporary. But but yeah, they stop there, they meet Bunsen and Beaker, Duck Hopper and his guys show up to kill Kermit, and, Animal eats the pills
Scares
and
them away.
grows. At this point, Jim Henson refused to use a miniature with just a regular animal puppet, so they made a 60-foot animal puppet head.
No.
Yes. That's why it looks so giant, because it was so giant. Like seriously, they made a 60-foot animal head.
Wow. That's dedication.
Yeah, and they had the horse skeleton bit where the horse skeleton was standing up and fell over. They scare away Animal scares away the bad guys after Kermit gives a speech like, What are you gonna do with all your money once you sell? You do you have friends?" He's like, "Mac's my friend," and Mac's like, "I'm not your friend." He just shakes his head. It's like, "No." I li- I like this bit. I Kermit's giving a speech. Come on, you've got to have a heart, and if 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 none of this what I'm saying resonates with you, go ahead and kill me now. And Doc Hopper takes his hat off, kind of looks down. It's like, "You're right. I'm sorry, boys. Kill him." He walks in
Obvious
the restaurant.
joke.
Huh?
It's an obvious joke, but it paid off.
It did. So they get back on the bus, they head into town, meet, Cloris Leachman as the secretary for Lou's Lord, or
Yeah,
Lou
her hair
Lord.
was something.
Uh, I've seen this movie a bunch, I never realized that was her.
It took me a minute because she's usually an old lady with an accent.
Yeah, and she seemed pretty tall in this, but that could be due to the Muppets being so short.
It was absolutely due to the Muppets being so short.
She refused to let them in to see Mr. Lord, but she's allergic to animals, so they all start dandering in front of a fan.
Yeah.
And we get our last big cameo, or last cameo, Orson Welles, who's got one line as the Muppets come in. It's like, "We want to be rich and famous." he, he looks at them, and he gets on his little phone and says, "Pull up the standard rich and famous contract for Kermit the Froggy Company."
Yeah. That was great.
Yep. And then I don't know if this is the biggest, if there's a record for it at this point, but so after they sign the contract, they get to make their Muppet movie, to make millions of people happy. It starts going well. It's kind of a breakdown of what happened in the movie we just watched. Things go wrong. A big hole gets busted through the studio ceiling, and a rainbow comes in, and we get a huge collection of Muppets doing the final verse of this song they've been singing. There's over 250 Muppets in that shot, which is basically
Wow.
every Muppet ever created up at that to that point. They had 150 different performers there performing all the Muppets. John Landis was actually one of the performers, as was Tim Burton.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, that's cool.
yeah. I believe John Landis actually did the Grover puppet in that shot.
Oh, that's right. Grover was a thing then.
So was most of Sesame Street.
Right. Well, because Elmo wasn't around until the 80s, I believe.
Correct, and even then, he wasn't the Elmo we know now. He had a weird little voice. He was
Right.
he was in the same role that Miss Piggy was originally, because when the Muppet Show started, originally Miss Piggy was just a extra Muppet. that
Yeah.
didn't find voice until Frank Oz picked it up one day and they started working with it because a bunch of different people had voiced it throughout the show, and then Frank Oz got it and like, oh, this works.
Yep. It should have stayed that way.
But that's the end of the movie. Sweetums bust through the screen
He
to
makes it.
to continue the running joke. Um,
The running
yeah,
joke.
the running joke. He makes it, and then we get a end credit scene with the in the Muppet Theater
My favorite
because
scene.
it's the end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. With all that shot at the end too. I just wanted to say that to get that shot, they had a 6-foot pit dug, that was 17 feet wide. So they had the 150 people all standing in the pit, and then a bunch of people in the back to kind of create that tier system.
Okay.
It was the biggest assembly of puppeteers at the time.
I'm not sure they've beaten that. Have they?
Not that I'm aware of, but I didn't find anything that said that there wasn't that it still had the record. So, do you want to give some final thoughts? We know you didn't care for the movie overall.
No, I
As
think I pretty much expressed my final thoughts throughout this thing. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
not sure with the new structure that final thoughts is even going to be really a thing. I think we're going to more lead with it.
yeah, we've kind of gone back and forth. We know what. It's hard to have a discussion when you don't like the movie.
Yeah.
So I kind of went with the. Let's
We
just
got
move forward with the movie and touch on points.
yeah, it just kind of I
You
apologize.
know,
It
I
fizzled
thought you
out.
would like this movie because I know you like the Muppets still,
Yeah,
but
I thought I'd like this movie. I was excited. If you recall from when we did the
oh
Mighty
yeah.
Ducks, I was like, "Dude, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be fun." And I turned on the movie, and about 5 minutes in, I went, "Oh no."
Well, I really enjoyed the movie. I still enjoy the movie. I will watch it again and again, and if I ever babysit your son, I'll make him watch it with me.
Mhm.
Comes home one day, I want to watch the Muppets.
Sorry, that Marshall Uncle Marshall has the only copy of that movie.
Oh, but I mean, Jim Henson was Jim Henson did. I mean, was the driving force of puppetry for many years, doing different things with it, advancing it,
Hmm.
and we lost him way too soon.
Yeah, he died in was it 1991?
Yeah, just as they were signing contracts for Disney to Disney had bought the Muppets at that point. Jim Henson was going to run the Muppet division basically of Disney.
Hmm.
At the time he had a show on TV on ABC, I believe, the Jim Henson Puppet Hour, or just a Jim Henson Hour, where
Yeah,
it was kind of like had a lot of different bits and a lot of different. It was like the Muppet Show, where it was a lot of little things put together,
hmm
and it also involved the Storyteller series.
yeah, but he had contracted pneumonia at the time
Yes.
and didn't want to burden people by going to the doctor, so he was just gonna ride it out. And by the time he had actually gotten to the hospital or gone to a doctor, he had done too much damage to his lungs
Yeah.
and passed away. So yeah, very sad because it was completely preventable his death if he would have just gone to a doctor
Yeah.
when he started feeling sick and wasn't getting better.
Let's see. I don't know if I have anything more to talk about of this movie.
Yeah, I think we're that I don't have anything. So if we're ready to wrap it up,
Let's see. We can touch on the other two Muppet movies, the original ones, the the Muppets Take Manhattan and the Great Muppet Caper. The Great Muppet Caper is a good one because it's actually like a movie, where the first two Muppet Take Manhattan in this movie, the Muppets are playing themselves, but in the Great Muppet Caper, they're playing characters as a story,
like
and
they
it's
did
got
in Christmas Carol.
yeah, and it's got the dad from Beethoven as the villain in it.
What Charles Grodin?
I think that's his name,
See, hmm. Oh, that was written by
John Hughes.
yeah,
Really?
yeah, under the pseudonym Edmond Dantes.
He wrote a lot of movies. Did Hollywood just have him trapped in a basement writing movies?
Yeah, Charles Grodin. Very good, me.
Good job.
Thanks. Bonnie Hunt was also in that one.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So our next movie.
Oh, yeah, we're getting to that point now, aren't we?
Yeah, if we got nothing else on the Muppets.
No, I don't think so. I don't think I have anything else on the Muppets. Watch the Muppet Movie, watch the Muppet Show.
Definitely watch the Muppet Show. But yeah.
I had
So
fun.
I had a lot of fun talking about it. So
That's good.
at least
A lot of
there's
good
that.
puppet facts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot. It's. I mean, the Muppets are an important part of film history, and
They are.
and not just film history, but pop culture.
I mean, the Jim Henson workshop. They made the Ninja Turtles, the
Hmm.
the 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 physical costumes, and they did that work. Yoda is,
Jim Henson and
and
Frank
Jim,
Oz.
yeah, Frank Oz voiced Yoda,
I mean, they're still using
one of the
Jim
most
Henson
famous
puppetry
puppets.
today.
Yeah. So, come on, Disney, get your act together. Do something good with the Muppets.
Yeah, the last one they did failed miserably too.
You know what the last one they did was?
No, I think something. It was a movie, wasn't it? The Muppets in like 2020.
They've so the most recent thing they did was, the Muppets, Haunted Mansion, and that was
Really?
pretty good. Yeah,
I've not even heard
they
of it.
was on Disney Plus. It was Gonzo's doing Gonzo stuff, and that was a lot of fun. Before that was Muppets Most Wanted, I believe, and they had a couple Muppet shows. The Electric Mayhem show they did was pretty good.
Just it
I was
never
hope
caught on.
I was hoping they'd do a second season of that, but it sounds like they're turning in Disney World, the Aerosmith roller coaster that's there into Electric Mayhem roller coaster.
That should have been done sooner.
So, they're doing some things. They just need to get a good creative force behind the Muppets to kind of focus it versus let's do something with the Muppets this time. Throw something at the wall and see if it sticks.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
Here we are.
yes.
Well, on to what we are watching next.
Yes, I'm excited.
You had stated that one of your hopes for this upcoming season was to do more blockbuster films, and off to a
Yes.
great start with the Muppet Movie.
I agree.
And so I went back and forth on what my first movie was going to be of this season, and I wanted to pick something I could really talk about.
Okay.
And I also read the book that
Ooh, there's a book.
that this movie was loosely based on.
Okay.
So I will be discussing the differences between the book and the movie as we go into. I've kind of built the suspense that it's going to be an anticlimactic reveal. We're gonna watch Forrest Gump.
Okay. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah,
That's a good one to talk about.
yeah. There's a lot there. I'm very familiar with the movie. I'm quite familiar with the book, so there's going to be a lot to discuss. Uh,
Fantastic.
yeah, I wanted to do it season one, but it's a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
And with that setup, it would have been longer than Street Fighter. It would have been more interesting than Street Fighter, possibly. But
I had fun with Street Fighter.
I did too. I just there's so much information about Forrest Gump that I have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it needed to be this season, I think.
Okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So, Forrest Gump.
All right. Well, that wraps up today's episode. I guess I don't really have a good from there.
It was like Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest, run.
Um,
Lieutenant
thank you.
Dan.
Wow.
Jenny.
Your Forrest Gump impression is horrible.
I'm not trying.
Anyway, thank you for joining us today as we
All right,
talk
Shrimp.
about the Muppet Movie. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can do so. WatchItBroPodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter @WatchItBroPod. You can find us also on Facebook or Instagram under that same handle. Our intro and outro music is now provided by my wife Rachel. That intro being Blue, that outro being Orlando. And as always, thank you for watching.